How you doing? You guys remember this? This was the paper that I wrote summer or two back. I told you guys I think I figured out how conscious life came about. But I had to sort it all out. Well, I think I have it all sorted out, at least the best of my ability, and maybe this video will help and find some other people that might be able to furthermore go with this, but here we go. So, what do you guys know about light shadows? Like, when there's a big, huge explosion, like, for instance, when the atomic bombs went off over across the seas on the Japan area or whatnot, and there was all light shadows, you know, like people that were sitting there and there's still their imprints of their last moments. Okay? Just keep all that in mind. You know, there's obviously lots of science that goes behind that, but just keep that in mind. And then, you know, also keep in mind the single particle double split experiment. Okay? And now, that is a really cool experiment too, where we realize that a particle can either be, you know, like, let's see, you know, it can either be in the state of like, well, a wave, or it can, like a light wave, or it can be in its, like, you know, quantum state, like an electronic atom. You know, that's what it can change back to, if I remember correctly. I got my notes here, they're a little messed up, but it's going to make sense once I get through. So now think about that, and, you know, real quickly, when I think about those two things, that makes me think that the shadows from the explosions weren't just accidental, but left there on purpose as a sign that says, hey, I'm light, I have memory. Okay, so then I started to think about that, and clearly light has consciousness because it can decide if and when it wants to switch between what state it wants to switch in between, you know, like we just talked about. And it does it once it's recognized. So, like, the things behind me right now might not actually be what it is behind me. Not what we can see, but behind me might not be the couch. Like, literally behind me that we can't see. It just could be nothing. It could be waving. Who knows? Because we do know that particles can, you know, do whatever they need to do. Okay. Until we look at them. So that means they're conscious because they have to know when we're looking back. Like, okay. So then I started to think about that. I started to think, when the Big Bang went off or whatever, you know, the huge explosion, that would have had to make imprints. It would have been able to make the shadow imprints, you know, the light shadows. But then I started to think, okay, so if it did make a light shadow when it exploded, it would have to make a light shadow onto something, though. So, and we know that everything is going so quickly and it's expanding so quickly, and as it's expanding, it's also, you know, creating. So I started to think, okay, so as light has now been created through this big bang, and then it's making shadows on stuff, but now this is going faster than anything's ever gone before. It's like the very first thing. So now it's going as the speed of light, and it's possible to make shadows. And now we're still going, and now things are creating atoms and stuff like that. How did light get consciousness? Like, how did it first get there to be able to switch from one state to another? And I believe that, like, the way that happened was when the very first, like, immediately after the initial explosion, like, immediately, when the very, very first, you know, atoms were being brought, you know, the very first atom of life, okay, from all the stuff that was happening, light went through that. So, you know, you got your atoms, you got your neutrons, your electrons, okay, and it's going around, it's the atom, you know, it's doing its thing, and now light goes through it, casts a shadow upon itself, but it's going so quick that shadow of light upon itself starts moving. The very first conscious breath of light. Okay? This gets good because that would explain how light can now change from anything we need it to be into anything that it's not, and back to what it needs to be from what we perceive it to want to be, because it's our eyes. Because it has the knowledge of everything at every moment, because light is everywhere. Okay? So I'm going to try to make this 10 minutes so I can put it on my TikTok. So having said that, and I hope you're still with me, because, you know, I'm trying to go off my notes and everything like that. And it got me thinking, though, okay, so then, you know, how are we put here? So now that light has, like, became conscious because of the whole shadow thing. Now we know light's conscious. It has to be conscious. Else it wouldn't be able to do the double slit experiment like we know it is. That's a wrap. Okay? Light is God. Okay? Light is God. But this is better. This gets even better. So once... Well, they're going to take me out for this. Once consciousness came about, now you might ask yourself this, okay, okay, now we're going to talk about conscious life, okay, I just told you how conscious light got started, but now we got to talk about how conscious life. So there's conscious light, which is what we're all made of. That's why we radiate light. That's why, like in a thermal gear, we radiate light. We literally, that's why we have a spirit. We don't die. Like, we are nothing but light. Super cool. I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish this in 10 minutes. I might have to do part 2. So, once this all happened, in order to create another conscious light entity or anything like that, there'd have to be another Big Bang theory. Another Big Bang. And light could make a Big Bang right now if it wanted to, but it would also cancel itself out and destroy everything. So what conscious light came up with is us, the body. You ever notice that, like, when a sperm goes into the egg, there's this light explosion? They say it's what is it? What did I read earlier? Somebody like sulfate or sulfur or some type of reaction inside there that like causes that light, but nobody really knows what. Oh, I can tell you what it is. That is the light creating that spirit for that body, because everything's light, which all became by conscious light. So like, you don't have to worry about fearing your death no more. Like, you don't die. We are nothing but light. Here's the coolest thing: we are a light vessel. So like, this thing actually can continue to heal itself. You ever wondered why you get scratched and it heals, you break a bone and it heals, but yet somehow we die at 80 years old or 90 years old? No, it's just the chemicals. If you get rid of all the bad chemicals in your body, this thing will last for so long as you keep it in the light. You have, that's why they don't want you in the sun. So, you know, and then, yeah, pretty much that sums it up in a 10-minute thing. But I mean, I really could break it down a lot more. The coolest part is, though, is like, once you know, like, why the universe expands, and when there's so many stars, you know, each star that's in the thing is a soul that's already that's left the body. So every time a soul leaves our body, you know, all this, it becomes a light source in the sky to add to the light, to add to the knowledge, to add to that. You can reincarnate if you want to. You can be a watcher. You can be a looker. You can do so much. Your conscious light. That's why the universe is always expanding, because there are so many souls that are pushing it out to learn more. You actually have all the knowledge. You know, you just sit in the light. You really think. You're really smart. You can take on everything. Yeah, like, you ever look at the human brain in a microscope and notice how it looks just like the universe? Okay, there are so many parts of the body that when you look down really close and microscopic, it looks, you know, identical to the universe in many things about the universe. But yeah, so that's in a nutshell, real quickly, how conscious life got. You know, it's been a mystery forever. No one's seemed to know how it happened, but that's what it was. Okay, there was a light created shadows on itself during the Big Bang Theory from the atoms that were working, and it took its first conscious breath from light atoms, and that is God. God is light. I can go into dark consciousness as well, because, well, that's also a thing. So, yes, peace. I'm Brandon Fogarty. I hope you like my theory on how conscious life came about. I love you guys.